create this fun little folio, and it's been inspired by a couple of different places. So let's just do a quick walkthrough before we get into the tutorial itself. So this folio folds out a couple of ways. So we have the first flap here, which just folds open. Then we have a belly band on this side, and then when you fold that open, you've got a pocket here. And fold this side open, another pocket here, and a waterfall. Close that up. And then on the right hand side, we have another fold open with another pocket. So lots of places for pictures. It's pretty easy to put together, and that's coming up next. Okay, so we're going to start by making the back and the sides of the folio. So I'm using 110 gram paper. So for the back and the side flaps, or the outside cover, you're going to need to make 3 pieces. So we'll start with the base first. So the back cover is going to measure 7 5/8 long by 7 3/4 wide. So 7 5/8. And then 7 3/4 wide. Okay, so now the way the spine works is that one side is actually thicker than the other because of how we do the inside of this. So you're going to score these now at 1 1/4 on the left and 1 inch on the right. So I'm going to do all my scoring after I cut these 3 pieces for the back and sides. We'll just put that aside for a second. And now I'm going to cut my sides. So you need to cut 2 of these. And you're going to cut again 7 5/8 lengthwise, and then 6 this way. So there's one piece. And then 7 5/8 by 6. I'll move this aside for a second. And so now we can score the pieces. So the 2 side flaps, you're going to score at 1/2 inch on the left side, only on one side. There you go. So there. Okay, I go over it a couple of times because the 110 pound is quite thick and sturdy. Okay, now this is the back cover and the side spines, so we're going to score this at 1 1/4 on the left side. And I'm just going to flip it because it's easier and score it at 1 inch on the right side. Okay. Now just fold those over and give it a good burnish. And your 2 insides. So the way you're going to construct this then is with the 1 1/4 inch side on your left, you're going to attach this piece to the spine. Okay, so it's your preference. Because it's on the outside fold, you can attach it on the inside like this, and then you get this piece here, which I find over time with the folding wears out. So I'm actually going to attach it to the outside because when we're finished, we're going to cover and decorate this spine. Okay, so I've got 1/4 inch score tape, but half would be what you need here, but I'm going to reinforce it with glue. So you're going to put it on the inside of the flap. And then since I don't have the right size score tape, which is fine, I actually was going to reinforce this with a little bit of glue. And this is the art glitter glue, which I love, but I buy the big bottles because it's the best deal, and I just transfer them into the small bottles. So we are going to line this up with the spine. Make sure you're lined up top and bottom. Okay, just flip it over. It looks good. And then I just take my scoring knife again just to make sure it's got a good stick on it. Okay, so there's my left front cover. And now we're going to do the same thing with the right piece. Again. Score tape. Now notice I'm reinforcing just on the edges where I don't have the glue. There we go. So you can see how the book will start to come together. Okay? So we've got the outside. So next we'll work on the inside pages. Okay, so the next piece we'll work on is the first inside fold out flap. Just set that aside. So for this piece, you're just going to need to cut one piece, and your measurements are going to be 7.5 by 10. So measure 10 inches long by 7.5. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and score that there at half, scoring at 1/2 inch. So this is where we're going to attach it, and then at 5.5, and this is where we're going to fold it into itself. Okay, so let's take a look at that. All right, there's your fold. So it'll flap open for pictures, and this is your binding side. So we're just going to fold that down. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and attach that now. So remember that your left side is the wider binding side, so that's where we're going to have the first fold out, and you're going to attach this to the left of the first to the first score mark. So right here is where this is going to go, like so. Okay, so I'm going to get my score tape. Right along the edge. Okay, and then, whoops, goodness. We're just going to take this off and reinforce with a little glue on this side edge here. Of course, you don't have to if you have the 1/2 inch score tape. Okay, and then so to the left, right on this first score mark, and just don't put it right against it. You want it to be able to fold up very close. There we go. And there's our first fold out flap. You're going to cut out a small flap to hold that down. So that's going to be 5.5 by 1.5. So 5.5 by 1.5, and you want to attach that, so you're just going to score that at 1/2 inch. Right there. And we'll just bring this back and attach that. That will go right here. Okay. Should have done that part first. Anyway, so just roughly center that, attach, and that's how that's going to look. So the next piece I'm going to build is the waterfall for the center. So the waterfall, you can make it as many flaps as you like. I'm going to do 4 for this book, but 5 or 6 will fit depending on how you position them. So we're going to cut, for this book, we're going to do 4, and each flap is 5 1/4 by 4 1/2. So 5 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I will go off and cut the rest of them. But what you want to do is also score these at 1/2 inch. So there's what the flap should look like. Okay, and the flaps will go right in the middle piece here. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished the 4 waterfall flaps and put down some score tape. But before we adhere these, I want to make the cover that's going to go over these. So you're going to cut 1 piece of 7 by 5 1/2. That's 7. By 5 1/2. Sorry, it's 7 by 5 1/4. Okay, and that's going to go here to cover up the waterfall. And then you can score this across the short side, down the short side at the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, and we can just move these out of the way for a second and start gluing in our waterfalls with the flap that goes over top. On my score tape. So I'm putting this one down first because the edge of this will be a guide for where I stick down the waterfall pieces. So as you can see here, I made a little boo-boo, and that's just okay because it's all going to get covered up. But I'm going to glue this to the top edge of the center section. Like so. Okay. And now I can start gluing down my waterfall pieces. Oops, I'll take this off first. Okay, so I'm just going to fold that under and put it up right against, line it right up against this top flat edge, so that you are going to have this come down nice and straight down the sides. So how this is going to work then is I want this flap to stay closed over top. So I'm going to build a little flap similar to this one over here. And I'm actually thinking that I'm going to use one of the 3 1/2 by 4 cards. So I'm going to cut this piece so that it can actually hold one of those cards. Okay, so this is the card I'm going to use here. So I'm going to cut this so that it can hold this card and then have enough space for me to fold it under and attach it. So you're going to cut this 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. And I'd just like to double check that that makes sense. And yep, that works. Okay, and then we're just going to score that at 1/2 inch as usual. And that's how we will attach it. Just going to move this out of the way for now. So we will bring it back when we decorate. So I can attach this, and I'm also going to attach the magnets now, like I just did for this side, and these are nice and dry. Okay, so I'm just going to eyeball it around the center here. Okay, so when this is finished, that will go on there. See what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put our magnets down here again. Okay, so next we're going to work on the 2 flaps that fold over the centerpiece. So I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. And so you're going to need 2 pieces, and you're going to cut 2 pieces that are 5 1/2 by 7 1/2. Okay, so there's my 2 pieces, and now I'm going to score those at 1/2 inch. Okay, and now these are going to be my pocket pieces. So I'm going to show you how to make a pocket that's going to go on the inside of the flaps as they fold in. So for the inside pocket, you're going to cut a square of 6 by 6. Okay, so now that you've got your square of 6 by 6, this is going to make 2 pockets. So you need to cut this in half diagonally. So I just use my ruler and just line up from corner to corner here. Okay, and you don't have to do that step because you can just go ahead and use this as a guide, but I find it just a little bit safer. Okay, so I'll make sure everything's nice and lined up. Go ahead and cut that. And so now what I want to do, because I'm going to be attaching these here, is I need to score them so I can attach them. So here again, we're going to score them at 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, so I've only scored on 2 sides, and that's how I'm going to attach them. Okay, so one will be this way. Score that at 1/2 inch. Okay, and so I don't need this little corner bit, so I'm just going to cut that off, and that makes sure that when you stick this down, it's nice and flat. So you can go ahead and cut that off on both pieces. Okay. And I'm just going to fold these down. actually, what I should have done is cut diagonally across. So there's your blooper. Okay. Now, once you fold these over, you can see you have these little pieces hanging out, so just cut those off as well. Okay. And you can go ahead and stick it on. This is how it's going to go. I'll come in with my score tape. Oops. Looks like this one's finished. Okay, so just fold those under and then take a look and put it right on the edge and the corner on one side and the other. There's that pocket. Now we can do the other side. So same thing. I just want to cut these pieces off. And get my score tape on there. And stick that on now. Notice I've got them edged on the outside edge, so make sure your scored sides are on the inside and you're sticking your pocket on the outside edge. There you go. We're ready to actually stick these into the album, so I'll just bring that back. Okay, so you're going to stick these here like that. Okay, and then, so what I do now is, just want to get those out of the way. I'm going to go really close to the edge of the back page. Okay, there we go. I like that positioning. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, where again, I folded it backwards and I'm going to stick it like this. A little bit of glue. All right, there we go. So let's see what we've got so far. Okay, so far we have our one flap, we've got our 2 inside flaps and our waterfall. Perfect. So we're going to work on the right side of the book. Okay, so now we're working on the right side fold out flaps. So you're going to cut 2 pieces from this. So each piece is going to be 7.5 inches long. Cut that first. Okay. And then your first piece will be 5.5 inches. Okay. And then cut another piece at 2.5 inches. So again, you have cut 2 pieces. Both are 7.5 this way. One is 5.5 inches wide, and the second one is 2.5 inches wide. Okay. So then you're going to score those on the 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so those are going to go on the back flap. So I have one here. And then this will sit over top and hold everything underneath. And we're going to put a pocket inside, but let's attach these flaps first. So we're going to line that up to this inside edge here. Again, leave a tiny bit of space next to where you scored it, next to the score mark here, just so it has enough room to open and close. Okay, there we go. Just stick this one on. And go just right as close to the edge as you can with this side onto the outside edge. There we go. So that's going to close like that. So yep, you guessed it. I need another magnet here. Then in here, we're just going to add a little pocket. So I will show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to make an inside pocket for here. The pocket is going to measure 6.25 by 3.5. I happen to have a piece of scrap that's already 3.5, so I'm just going to cut it at 6.25. Okay, and now I want to score this on 3 sides at 1/2 inch mark. And that's where I'm going to fold the pocket in for adhering it. There's 1. 2, 3, and now we're going to do the same trick just to get rid of the excess paper, is just cut diagonally across those 2 bottom corners like that. Okay, and I just go ahead and fold those in. All right, got my score tape on there. Okay, and now I'm just going to position this in the middle of the back. Oh, what has happened? Put a bit of a glue mishap. Okay, we will fix that in a minute. So that's going to go down at the bottom like so, right close to the bottom edge. And there you go. There's your back pocket. So it'll go like that. Just going to put our magnet back. Okay, now I'm going to go back and add a pocket also to this page, or a belly band. So actually I think we'll do a belly band since we have a couple of pockets already. Oh, this does not want to stick, and I know why. It's sticking to the magnets that are over here. So we're gonna have to keep that far away. Once you cover it with paper, none of that will happen. So I'm just going to make a quick belly band for this piece here. So what we're going to do for the belly band is take some of your cut-offs, and you're just going to cut this at 1.5 inches by 8.5. So you're just using the whole width of the paper. So there you go, that's already 8.5. And then it'll be 1.5 inches wide. Okay. And then we just need to attach the belly band. So you're going to score it at 1/2 inch point marks on each end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach the belly band. And when you go to decorate this, you will have enough room to actually slide your patterned paper underneath the belly band. Or if you want, what you can do is only attach it on one side, like leave it open. And then I'll show you how we're going to decorate that when we go to add the patterned paper. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to attach the one end for now, just roughly in the middle. And that's it. So it looks like we're going to let this dry, and we're going to be ready to decorate the album next.